I have the same on my VPS, but on my VPS is I need to change things around here. But yeah, anyways. So, okay, so we will start by looking at the database because that's kind of important within VORP. This is where we do setup stuff. Well, I think everybody's using HadeSQL. If not, it's PHP admin or whatever it's called. But okay, I don't like it full screen. Right. So if you download the pre-made, the pre-made will bring an SQL file. Most people don't know what that is for, but it is explained in the guide. We have a guide so that you can install this, and you have the MariaDB SQL. It's called MariaDB because we support syntax for MariaDB only, not MySQL. And what this is what it will save data in your server so that every time you restart your server, you don't lose stuff, right? You don't use data, and the next time people join, they will have the same thing that they had before, right? So this is why it's needed. You should never touch this. You can modify if you know what you're doing, but if you're not, you can't skip it. You need all of it. There's no way you can skip that. Oh, I have an error. Let me delete this. Oh, now it works. No, you need everything. You can't just skip it. And when you get a script, you will get a file with this. If you use this database, if you need database, you will get a file with this. And that's why you need HadeSQL. You can load the file by loading the file through here, or you can literally just copy the code and put it in here. You can just imagine I just want this. I can copy. You just drag and drop right here, and it will run. For me, it won't run because I already have them. This is all you had to do. So in each file, in each folder, in each script, before you're installing, you have to look at it and see if there's any SQL file that needs to be installed. And if you do, this is how you do, right? So when somebody tells you, oh, you're missing a table in your database, right? These are tables. And when you go inside the tables, you can see here data. This is where you see all your data. These are columns, right? So when somebody says you're missing a table, you're missing a column in the users table on a database, which some people always kind of missing this one. And you will find the code and you will put it here, you will run it, and you will install it, right? So database, that's where you do your stuff. And then you have the characters, right? You have to click data so you can see all your stuff. You can see the group, that's most important. And then you have the jobs. And then you have names. This is a Steam ID. Char identifier is unique identifier, which makes it able so that you can create more characters and have a unique ID. You can see that it says here inventory. Somewhere. Did I delete it? Did I put inventory is empty. This is old. So it doesn't use this anymore. Everything is gonna go here. It's kind of hard to read, but default means it's an inventory of a player, and if it has another name, it means it's a custom one, right? And then you have item crafted ID. It's not the name, it's an ID, and then it tells you the amount and to who belongs to this character ID in this script, which you can see it's boat, a boat script, and this is the um, ID of the item that was crafted. Let's say it's created with the amount of 5. And when we go here, items crafted, that ID will be here somewhere. I believe somewhere here. And this item ID is the item from items. So this is where the item is. So let's say the ID. So these are the IDs of the items. So if it's a coal, it will be 112 here somewhere. If it's coal. So you will know, okay, this is the ID. Let me see what items do they have. And then you can see through the table. Okay, it's coal. If you use a VORP admin, you don't need to come here to see that because there's an option you can see items in game from players if they're online. Right. For banks, all the banks you have in the config, you need to have them here too. Like you can't have spaces. What you have in the config for banks is what you need to put in here. So that's bank for users. You have the items, etc. Basically, it's more like that. There's a thing that nobody knows about is this table users. When you ban somebody or that player doesn't want to play more in the server, or for whatever reason you don't want that player to play in the server, if you delete a table with this team ID, it will delete from here, whitelist. It will delete from characters, all these characters, and it will delete bank users. Why does it do this? It does this to clean up the database. So if you ban somebody, permanent ban, that person is not going to join anymore. So there will be 4. If he has 4 characters here, there will be probably banks that he had, and there will be an entry in here, and there will be another entry in here, and they are not data. And it's just going to make this have a very huge data in here, and it will slow down queries. I can show you. I have a server, and I'll show you what I mean. This server is not ready for that, but I can tell you that just in users, the amount of data, 21,000 rows. This means 21,000 players have passed this server. This is bad. It's too much. Like it's too much data. So if I have a query to look up for somebody in here, and imagine that it's in the last row, it will have to run 21 through 21,000 rows. Of course, you have an index key, which makes it easier to search things. But there are some people that are still new in coding and are like, I've seen like at least 2 or 3 people, even on the core, there is a query for the whitelist to put all the whitelists that exist here into memory, into the server, which is bad because you only need the people that is playing. You don't need 9,000 rows of whitelists because you have like probably 100 people playing. So Anyways, so we will start by items. How to create items for your server. I'm just gonna look. This isn't my VPS. Just gonna look at the messages. Then we will start by creating items. Yeah, but if you use VORP admin, you can see it in game. The items of that player. Yeah, I will upload in there. Okay, so the most other things that you will be coming here for is just to create items or changes, limits, whatever. So it's very easy. You can just click on any item, right click, and you put insert row. And this is how you create an item. So let's say the item we're creating, if it's existing one, it won't let you. So if I do all, okay, already exists, right? It won't let me. So you see, it says it already exists. So before you create one, check if it exists because there's tons of items in here. And all of these items, that doesn't mean they are being used. This is just people that put it up in here. For me, it's just easy just to delete everything. You just put all of them by yourself so that you know what you have in your server. So let's say I want to create an item, meal unique, just so we get it right. And this is a label, how it's going to display in the inventory. You can do capital, whatever you want. So this is the name that you're going to use on your script. That's the name you need to use. This is just a label. So that's what you're going to show. As you can see here, this ID was created by itself. You don't touch this. So if it says null, you just leave it on the ID and on the metadata and in here. This one's you don't need to add it. You just need, okay, if this item is usable, if you're going to use this item, you put 1. If it's not, you leave 0. In here, you would have to paste item standard. Just copy what's above. Can remove. Can this item remove? Yes. You put limit of the item. How many can a player carry? We can say 5. And just by clicking here on the outside, it's done. You can click here as well, and it will mark it as done. And that's how you create an item. Now you can come here and say, give it a description, and now the inventory is going to show a description. You can say nice ill. And now in the inventory, it's not going to show a nice item. It's going to show a nice meal. Right, so the only thing you don't touch is ID and metadata. If you don't know what you're doing, you leave metadata how it is, and ID you don't touch. Right? So that's how you create an item. So whenever you want items to be added to your stores, if you don't have them here, you come here and you create them. It's pretty much what you have to do in the database most of the time. Loadout is where weapons will be. You can see here by Steam ID what weapons does this player have, right? And what inventory is placed in. If it's white, it means it does not belong to anyone. It's probably, this one is probably from another character that I had, because it's 34. Yeah, this from another character I have. And this is pretty much in game. Users, you can see bans, warnings, And now to set yourself as admin, as soon as you get inside the server, in the server, you will have to come here, check if that's your Steam ID. You change from user to admin, right? And every time you do this, this will only take effect when you restart the server. Okay. Right. So this is where you set up permissions just once, just for you. And there's another one that you can do it in the characters, in the group section. You can also set up as admin. Just click on it. Just make sure. You can refresh this by clicking F5 and you will see that it changed. So yeah, if you need to delete something, if you don't want that player to play, whatever, delete it from here. It will delete from the characters. And it will delete from whitelist, and it will make it empty, less clogged up for queries. Right, regarding database, do you guys have any questions? Yeah. Yeah, it's just characters that I don't use. If you give it to somebody or if you put it somewhere, it goes blank. So. The what? That thins? Yeah. And once you finish creating your item, you will have to go to the inventory. Yes. You have to go to the inventory, HTML folder, EMG, items. This is where you put the image of the item. The name must be the same as in here, item. It must have this name. If it doesn't have the name, it won't load. So the name of the image must match. And this is where you put the images in your server. Right. It's on the docs. Whatever you need, it's on the document, on the VORP docs. Right, so items, that's done in database. So a lot of people struggle with updating scripts as well. I see some people complaining about the not having permissions on the menu. Does the menu open? Do you see VORP or admin open? But is it the admin menu? Or is it just the user menu? Right. If it's right. Is it just TPM? Can you heal? Can you revive? Can you give items? then you don't have the permissions. If it doesn't let you, you don't have the permissions. Like, code is always right. If it doesn't work, it's because something is wrong. If it says no permissions, because you don't have permissions. Yes, but there already comes setup. You basically don't need to do anything if you own your own server. If you own your own server, everything is already set up for the pre-made. I think it's owner. It says owner. As you can see, my Steam ID is not here. Everything is already set up for this group. This group has nothing to do with database. It has nothing to do with database. This is a whole different system. And you need to have this here, which is already set up in there. So, and then you also need this file. This is not mine, this is Andrew. And this commander is what allows you to do refresh, restart scripts in game and start them. I can just go do here, restart, and it allows me. If it allows you to do this, it will allow you to open the menu. Just turn it. Okay. When you do the commands, does it show the command like this? If it shows the command, it says you have permissions because it only shows to those who have permissions. So it should work. The file that you have is the file that I have. So, so as I've said, this is how you do it to have the permissions. Use this table and characters, but there's a catch. You will need to go to VORP core. That's where you decide which one you want to take the permission from. So if we go to VORP core config, right, we go to config, and in here we will see these two. So set user db adim. This one, when you do the command /add group, where does the permission go? To the users table? True. If you put both, it will go to characters and users table. This is for the command to give people's groups, right? But the permissions to use the commands They come from this new file. It's called admin. Everything is admin. So you need this permission here. As long as this is in there, it will work. Because what I don't understand, that you say you can open your menu, but you can't do the commands, that it means you're doing something wrong. Because the permissions in here are either using ACE permissions or DB permissions. So if you have permissions to open the menu, then it should have this one. If it doesn't have this one, then it should have this one. So, and you tell me that you have the commands to show, but you can't do it. See here, I'm only getting the group from users table. But look in here to show the command. Yeah, to show the command is also from group users. So it says that it shows the command, but you don't see it and you can't use it. So that's weird because it works. Yeah, because it's ACE permissions. It will check either ACE permissions or group permissions. If you give somebody a group with Steam ID, you need to remove the Steam ID as well, and from the database, because VORP admin now uses both. Actually, VORP admin uses more than 2. It uses 3. Pretty sure it uses 3 types. See here. It uses from characters table. It also checks from users table, and it also checks ACE. There's 3 permissions here to make you open that menu. So if they can still open it, they still have it on their character, they still have it on the user, or they still have it in ACE permissions on this file, the Steam ID. Now, I've seen people that have problem in updating stuff. Well, that is yeah, I will explain. Back about your question. FiveM and RedM is pretty much the same thing. So when people come and say, is FiveM the same thing as RedM? It's not. That's not a developer, because it's the same thing. Code is code. Code works the same everywhere. So what you have different is natives, but that's just anybody knows that. So it's like there isn't the best framework out there. Okay, VORP is not the best, QB is not the best, whatever you think, it's not the best. It's whatever it feels more comfortable coding with. You could say that VORP is the best, but not like about code is the best because you have 400 servers using it and you have more content than any other framework. So of course, VORP will be better just because you have more content, but that doesn't mean it works better. Doesn't mean it has the best features, but it is supported. So, but there are other frameworks good. I mean, if you're a developer, it doesn't matter what you use because you can just change things. So, but VORP is very user friendly, right? So let's just see how do we update stuff, right? It's very easy. I don't know why people have problems with. This is why you should never change anything with the code. If you're not a developer, don't change anything. It's just gonna make your life complicated. There's people like selling scripts and tell you, okay, you have to change your inventory, and then now it's gonna be your problem. Every time a new update comes, you have to go and check what changed it, what didn't I change it. Like it's just, if somebody's selling you something and telling you change your inventory, I would not buy it. If you're not a developer, because nobody here is gonna help you. That's not our problem. Yeah, it's just there's no difference. Like 5M right them is Lua, C sharp, whatever code, whatever language. It's just you have a different natives. Most of them are the same. So most of them are the same. Yeah, there's no difference. It's like I don't want. It's not like I want people to use VORP core. Like that's up to people. My job here is make it so that it's so user friendly that people actually choose VORP. All this work isn't for me. That I can make this for myself. I don't need to share. But there's an important thing that um, when I started coding, I wanted to make my own server, and I didn't want to share because everybody wants to have their server as unique and better than others. But while I was doing that, I wasn't learning anything because the trick to learn is to share. If you share, you learn. I've learned more just being in VORP core than doing anything else for myself. When you share, you learn because then you have problems and now you have to solve them because you shared, somebody gave you feedback, and now you want to help others. When you help others, that's how you learn. If you just keep quiet in your corner, you're not going to learn anything. Okay, so updating. When an update comes, it's shared in this channel. At this, it's shared in this channel. I always put the link. I always say what you have to do. For example, in the config, this is the only thing that changed. And in here it says you will need to update server folder and your config file. That's the part of the config that changed. Right, so we click on the link. I don't use GitHub desktop because this will replace what you had, but the stuff that we deleted, it won't delete. You will keep in there. So I would not use this to update. Just download the source, download zip. It will go to your desktop, whatever you have. And in here you have the script, right? So let's say I'm just gonna copy. Then you go where inventory is, right? And I'm gonna paste in here because the name is not the same. And then once it's finished, because it's VPS, it takes a little bit. Once it's finished, we just grab the VORP inventory, put it somewhere else. So that's meaning you are already backing up the working inventory that you had. And then you're gonna put the new in. You're gonna rename the folder because it needs to be called VORP inventory. And then you're gonna restart the server. Once you see it's working, then you stop the server. You're gonna look for the config file, and then you see your changes, and then you change your things. You must put the whole folder. You can't just, oh no, I don't want to delete my config. If you don't put your whole folder, you will have problems. it's 100% the time people come and complain things don't work, it's user error. They don't want to change the inventory that they changed, that they modified, that they made this. Like, there isn't our problem. If you change, you're gonna have to be responsible to um, support yourself, because changes are for those who know what they are doing. Well, Lua is the most friendly language to be used in the CFX framework. You have C Sharp as well. I don't code in C Sharp, but C Sharp is better than Lua. It's just not user friendly. Good thing about C Sharp is that it can hold a load, and Lua doesn't. You can see like VORP scripts in C Sharp when you have, no matter if you have like, if you have 20 players or if you have 60, you will have um, more load with less players than with more. It holds more. In Lua, it's not. In Lua, it's different. It's better with less players, and it's worse with more. Right. So now you can see the name is not the same. We'll just do this. That's it. That's backed up already. Now I just need to rename it, and that's it. I can restart the server. I'm inside the server. I'm not gonna restart. I can just restart the server, and it will work. If you turn this to true, you can restart while live so that you can make tests if you're a developer. If you're not, leave that false, because you're gonna screw up everything. I can just do a restart. VORP. Before you restart, you can do a refresh. Restart. VORP. Okay. Now we do one more time. Restart. No, it's not needed. Right. So now any script that uses inventory, you also need to restart. If I just want to restart, let's say my script that uses VORP inventory, then if I want to test it, I will have to restart it, because VORP inventory, when you restart it, now it's going to the to the to the last of the resource that was loaded, and since all the scripts depend from VORP inventory, they won't work. This is why the load that you ensure, it needs to be correct. As you can see, that's how you update. Now, if you have changes, that is not going to be VORP's problem. Well, it's very easy to find it. Right, this is how you update. It's really easy. It's simple. Just download the new one, take the new. If it doesn't work, all you have to do is just delete this goddamn thing and put this one back in. That's it. VORP core. Everybody has problems with VORP core. I don't know why. It's the same method. Download it, rename. It needs to have this name. Put it in. Now that you see it works, all you have to do is open the config. Right? This is the new one. Now you go into the old one, open again. In Visual Studio, you will have both here, as you can see. You can drag this, put it in here, and now you have both one side by side. And then you can see, okay, I have this. This was new. You could see if you didn't have it in here, you could see like, okay, this is different. And you also have this things here that tells you what's new, what's not new, if you haven't set it up correctly. Because if you click on it, it tells you what was new, what was not. And this is how you do it. Just see whatever was to what was before. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you update scripts. Yeah, you can do that too. Always the latest. The latest will bring fixes. It could bring new bugs, but it brings fixes. When I say the latest, I do this. This one. Always the first one. It can bring new bugs, but if people don't use it, nobody will know about them. Nobody will fix them. So VORP core, it's not working. It's not working for those that have this one because there is new natives that I'm using. So if you use this one, it won't work. No, not the recommended because the recommended doesn't bring new stuff. The recommended is just a stable version, but everything that was fixed, it's not on it. No, it is recommended. It's stable, you know. It just doesn't have anything new that was fixed or that was added. Um, and to update it is actually easy as well. It's full of stuff here. All you have to do is just here, download from that link, copy here, paste it, replace everything. That's it. The server needs to be shut off to update this. Yeah, and every time you update it, your txadmin updates too. So that's another thing. Like txadmin now have options that you can whitelist using Discord roles. You can manage player. This is not on the old ones, so you only get the new stuff if you update. Oh, txadmin notifies you already. If there is a new update, he will tell you here. He will tell you to update. Right. So database, creating items, updating scripts. If you want to go into depth and you don't want to, I don't recommend this. I don't recommend. But you can just go to the GitHub if you know what you're doing. You can just go and see. Okay, what was this? We click here. This is the commit, and you can see. Okay, this changed to this. So I can go to SV commands, line 413, and copy this, and I can see the only thing that was changed was this. I will go there. I can just copy paste into my script. So you don't have to update the script every time there's a new update. But I don't recommend this. I only recommend this if I don't announce it. When I announce it here, update what I say to update. So, but for small things, you can just come here and see what was done. Example here, you can see that I changed everything to Ben, to using a lowercase. Right. For pre-made, I don't need to explain how to install. There's already a guide. Super easy. I just need to change this link here, but there's already a guide for it. Alright, so now we're going to go to scripts. To scripts. So many people ask, where are the jobs? How many jobs VORP has? Nobody knows. Like, you have to go through the scripts and see what scripts do you have. Each script comes with their own config file. So you have, it's up to you. I can go here and let's say VORP plugins. This is outdated pre-made, but it's all the same. If I go here, this is the VORP admin, right? The new one. It now supports multiple groups. So if you don't have this permission, it will go get this from characters or users. So there's 3 ways to get permissions from here. This is basically the only thing you have to do. You have the webhooks. Webhooks, this is so that it logs to Discord, right? And each command has a log for it. If you don't know how to create a webhook, super easy as well. You just go to any channel that you have on your server, edit channel, integrations, webhooks, create webhook. That's it. Click on it, copy. I'm gonna delete it because I don't need it. Go into the thing. I want this command to be logged into that channel. That's it. That's the only thing you need to do. Okay. So that's how you do webhooks. These are important so that you can track your staff to what they are using, to who are they giving stuff, and when. Right. It's just no clip. There's a heal function here. If you have another metabolism like mine or Fred, you can put the events here. So when you use the heal from the menu, it will heal you or the player you want it to. Right now, it's VORP only. You can do your own. Right. So I can remove this. Yeah. So I try to put everything now on the config file. For translations, if your server is not English, I'd suggest that you help with translations for VORP core. Like, I added a new file. It's called translation, and you can translate this for the language that you use, Spanish, French, whatever. This one is not the updated one. The updated one is on the, but this will look like all this will be inside this. That's how you create a new one. Actually, I'm just gonna show it so that you can see what I'm talking about. VORP core, you can see translations. Click on it. So this one is English, right? Everything you do here, you don't touch this, like this stuff that has a percentage with the letter on. You don't touch that. You just convert it. Don't remove the things. Just convert it. And then you can see this one. It says Spanish. But everything is in English because I don't speak. I mean, I speak Spanish, but I don't write Spanish. And then you have French, whatever. You can put German, and whatever. But everything is in English, so somebody needs to do this. And for this to work, you gotta put the name of your language here, right? And then you go into the config and you set the language there. No, this is commands. So you go to the config, and the language is here. The name you put there, that's the one you need to use. It's going to use. And on the VORP core, you have the new file in the folder config called commands. This is where all the commands is. If you're a developer, if you know what you're doing, read this. You can add your own commands here. So you have a list of all the commands here. As you can see here, this has like these variables because this is all translated from the translation file, right? You don't need to do anything here besides adding a permission here. Like if you want moderators to use this, you use that. That's the only thing you need to do. Is just change this. If you are a developer, you can come here and create your own commands. Just add one below here. Just like copy this, put it here and call it, I don't know, whatever you want. You can use the jobs. They are allowed to use this command. If it needs to check the user is in game, the suggestion is for when you type the command, it tells you how to use the command. And if it needs only one argument, so an argument is, so let's say this command here, heal. If I do, it says ID is wrong or user doesn't exist because I didn't put ID. If I put my ID, this means it needs one argument. So this is what this is for. So the player can only use is going to detect how many arguments are needed for this command to work. And there's a webhook to log the command, and this is the function. You can also set up an ACE permission using Steam ID if you use this command in your resource, if you know what you're doing. And this is the call function. In here, when this command is used, after all this was passed, it will come here and it will trigger you will have to trigger an event, right? And right now is a function within VORP, and it will trigger an event to your scripts, and from there you can do stuff. It's a good way to keep all the commands in one file, so you don't have to look for everything. And in here it tells you how to use it. That's the function. It comes with 3 dots. This is just something that people that you can do to pass any arguments that you need. Like there's no limitation, but you can grab a source just by doing this. Look at data source, but it is explained here what you can do with it. You can go to GitHub. You go to GitHub here. You fork it. You got a fork, and then you on your GitHub, you click here. It means edit. You just copy what you had and you paste here. Done. And when it's done, you can go. I think it's here or here to create pull requests, or you can even go into our VORP and create a pull request from here. I have a video, I think, on how to use GitHub already in the Discord, so you can watch that if you want to learn more about it. Right, so we just talked about how to update scripts and how to mess with this, right? Now, for plugins, so imagine we want to use crafting, right? Every file has a config file, every script, basically. And in here you have everything. Like you don't touch any of this, just the language and the config files. Don't touch anything if you don't know what you're doing, because nobody's gonna support you. If you touch, you gotta support yourself. And usually we have description of what does this do, right? So when it's in green, it means this is not going to be read in the code, right? That's how if I do this, it's going to create an error. So since it's a description, you add 2 dashes, right? If you go here, it's a hash. It's not a dash, right? If I do a dash, it's gonna probably do an error too. So if you want to comment something out, you do this. One thing that we did not talked about, it was how to ensure your scripts. When you put a new script, you'll have to come here, put the same name that you have in the folder. So if it's called SY in trades, SY in stores, or is it, if it's called VORP crafting, we go here and you put VORP crafting. If you don't want to use it, you just put the hash in there. If you want to use it, you just remove it like this, and then you restart the server. So this is how you ensure your scripts. You must put it in a resources folder. Right, this is your resources folder. You can, if you want to organize it, you can create a new folder. If it has the brackets, it won't read the folder. It will read what's inside the folder. So I can do this. Others. Put here. And now I can put others here. This is how you organize it. Right? Mine is not the best example because this is just a test server. So delete this, I don't need it. Right, so all the scripts must be here in the resources folder. These ones you don't touch. Okay, so continuing. Configuration, right? Configuration of location. When you see X, Y, Z, this is the locations of, let's say, of where this job, of where you can craft things from this location. There will be the position. How do you get the chords? You get it with VORP admin. You can open page down. You can go here, get chords. You can go at XYZ, vector 3. Vector 4 already comes with heading, but it needs to support it. So if it says X, you will need to do the X only, XYZ, and you can have the heading separated. It tells you, it copied to your clipboard, and you have everything in your clipboard. So you can do this. I think there's another one you can do here, admin actions, and you can get the chords from here as well. So if you have housing, stores, yes, you don't need anything. Yeah, it copies to your clipboard. It's easy to use. And you can give permissions to use it or not. No, that means that it will bypass. It will not read that folder. It helps organizing your scripts. So you can name it whatever. It won't read that folder. Only what's inside. Right, and then you have the categories here. So category for food. You can put medical here. Text. If it's location, if it's job, like it tells you here. All you have to do is just read. Most things have explains you how to do it, just like here. It explains you how to do it. And just create the stuff here. For example, people ask me, what jobs does it exist? Like, it all depends on you. Do you want jobs? If you want job, it tells you here. You add here butcher's job, right? And then in game, you just need to add job to player, the ID of the player, the job name, and the job grade. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to go to any files and put the jobs there, and that player will have the jobs. The commands will do that for you. They need to be in game. And now, if this here is set to butcher, it tells you to do this. Butcher. This is very, very important. Look, you see this red? It tells you there's an error because it's missing a comma. That's why it's very important for you to install extensions, because they help you see these errors. Like this one is the one that you should use. You should use this. This has more than just that I've just showed you. It has a lot of cool stuff. It tells you what variables are being used. For example, this is only for developers, of course. But it tells you what's being used, what's not being used. Anyway, right, config, and basically that's how you do it. Now somebody has to do VORP housing. I don't know if I have VORP housing here. It's basically the same thing. I don't have it here. It's basically the same thing. Position, get it from admin menu, the price, and the radius. This is the radius for that you have to press the button so that you can see it and do your stuff. And but VORP housing is not Lua, so it's going to look different to you. It's this one, but it's not finished. So when you go here, you'll have your config is going to be a JSON file, but it's pretty much the same thing. Like it already has a lot of stuff in there. I've never used it, so it's just the name. The ID is they need to increase the numbers, so you can put any ID as long as they are not the same, I believe. Or this is the ID of the doors, and I've never touched on this one. Doors status doors, because this is why we use Lua, because you can't even comment in this. I mean, you can, but it tells you that it's wrong. To comment in this, I think you use brackets like this, and it will allow you to comment on it. Door status, the price of this house, door model hashes. This is a door model, door hash, doors, where the inventory is, TP enter, TP leave. Oh, this is if you want to have a TP house. If you don't want to have a TP house, you see it doesn't need. Now to find these model hashes, you can do is there's a script called devgun. Let's see if I have. Yes, I do. When you point a weapon, if you start there, devgun. When you point it, it will show you in there the heading hash codes. But if you close to a door, it will tell you the hash of the door if it opens. If the door is usable. It tells you the chords, heading, hash, and that's the hash. It's the door hash. you also have another one that is called start debug. And now you can see all the entities around you. This meaning the door as well. And you have more information. For example, you can see that my revolver is there. It shows my revolver. I put it away. Invisible is false. And you can see that this door, the state is closed -1. So that's what the ID is for. And then you have the rotation, the heading, the model. When you open, it's gonna say open. So, now it says open. So basically, you can use these resources to help you doing those things. It's not very friendly user, this VORP housing, because it's written in C#, so nobody's really supporting it. So we can't make it easier. So you'll have to use these resources. So updating, creating items, let's say stores, config stores. I made this script a while ago. Just basically, how do you create new things? You just copy what's here, put it below, and if you have the extension, it will tell you, okay, this is already used, meaning that this will not count. It's being override by this one. So you just put here new store, let's say whatever store. The name doesn't matter. For some scripts it does, for this one it doesn't. And you can say the bleep, the chords you get with VORP admin. You see here has the heading. The heading is what the NPC will face. So you can go here, DevTools, get chords, and it tells you the heading. It's copy there, and you have the heading that your player is facing. Correct? And allow jobs. If it's empty, everyone can use this store. If he has a job, then meaning that only this person with this job can use it. Butcher, right? This is the category that this store will have. So I want this store to be selling food, tools, and meds, right? And then store type, I want the store only to be selling or buying, or both, right? I want this store to have hours. I want this store to have random prices. I want it to open at 7 and close at 21. Dynamic store. This meaning that if you set this to true, meaning that if somebody buys this item, they can only buy it 10 times, this item. So it will only be available again on restart, or if somebody is going to the store and sell an apple. When they sell an apple, it means that it will add again another 1 apple. If they sell 2, the store will have 2 out. So this store, it's a community-based store, right? So players can buy it, empty it, and fill it. This is why I don't know why people buy other store scripts. It doesn't have player-owned scripts, but it is community-based. So I would only buy if it's like SY in stores. That one I would buy because it's player-based. But anything else, I would not buy. It literally, you have everything here. Right, and that's how you copy one. And then in here, you have the sell items. Right, and the sell items, you have the item label and the item name. As you can see, we created an item in the database, and the item needs to be called the same. This is just a label, it's just for the notification on the menu. And then the currency type you can set up to use cash or gold. So you can use any currency. You can set up a store in Valentine to only use gold or cash. Sell price, sell this alcohol for $30. If you have random price to true, that means that the price every time you restart the server, the price will never be the same. Well, it could be 35, it could be 45, it could be 50, it could be 30. The minimum is 30, the max is 50. This is a really good feature because the price on the stores, imagine if you don't have this, people will know, oh, in Valentine it's cheaper, so let me go there. So no, like places are always different. So today could be cheaper here, tomorrow it could be cheaper in another town. This is how you balance your server, the community, the money is by doing this. So it's never the same. When it's everything is always the same, the prices, then people will find ways to always buy the cheap one. They don't go look for it. They already know what it is. Yeah, and you just put here and you say the category is tools. So since the story we created had tools and food and med, so the category for this item will go to the tools category and the description. And then you create this next one will be food. Bandage will be meds category, right? And that's how you create your thing. Now this one, as you can see, there's only one here. That means this will be between 1 and 15. If you leave just one, this is the max. The min is already added. But if you can do, just put like this, between 1 and 15. It's really, don't, you cannot use decimals. You cannot do this. Okay, mat.random doesn't work with decimals, as far as I know. It will give you an error. And to use this, on the config on the top, it must be true. Right, so now we go to the buy items. So now we want to buy items. Same thing. Same thing. Alcohol, item name, the currency that we want to use, the price. This will be overridden when this is true on the config. If it's false, it will use this. Right? Description, category, food. And you must name the town. Here it must be the same. This name must be the same as in this one and as in this one. They must match. I think I said it didn't matter what name you put. In here it doesn't. But if you have this here, you need to have the same below. You can put any name you want, they just need to match. And that's how you put up your store. Now, there's a fishing store, whatever. Just, you want to put more, just copy. Just copy this. Make sure it has the comma. You create a new one and add a new name. Go to database, items, insert, new item, done. You see here how it says no? Don't touch it, because when you finish you do your stuff, it will fill it for you. And how to delete it? Just go here. If you don't want it, you can delete it, or you can edit. Come here, you edit this, or edit this. That's it. Now it's pretty basic. As you can see, it's nothing like rocket science. You just have the configs for it. Just edit. Well, you don't know what it is this for, you can always ask in the VORP Discord. If you change anything within the code, you can ask for help, because this is, you need to know what you're doing. We can possibly help everybody. And Yes, you can do that. If you divide it by 100, you can do that. Yes. Because then 100 will be 1 and 200 will be 2 because it's divided by 100. But if you don't want to put 100 and 200, you can always do this. And then at the end, you do 10. This will make it so it's 0.1, 0.2. You could do this as well. I think it's 10, or if you put 1 and 2, then you divide by 10. I think it's how it works. Either way. But that's a good way to put it, yes. Because it's the output. It's all together. I do that on the new character script. On the menu to do the opacity, I put max 10, min 0, but then I divide it by 10. So this amount, if it's 1, it will be 0.1. So, do we have questions? I think I covered everything. How long is this been going? 1 hour. I think I covered everything. Creating items. Oh, somebody asked here drinks. Right, VORP metabolism. I don't use it, but do I have it? There is a new one in Lua. I don't have it here. Not sure if the pre-made is updated to the Lua one. But we will check. It is in Lua. Okay. So same thing. Config. You have the items to use. Right? All you have to do is just copy, paste down below. Name is the name that you have here. It's this item. That's the name. And all you have to do is just put the name here and edit how much you want for thirst, how much you want for hunger. VORP metabolism uses max value as 1000. So if you want half, this will be 500. And then you have inner cores, the prop name that you want to use, and the animation type. You have drink and eat. Those are the animation types. And then you have the translation, which is only this. It's very easy to use. Now, it doesn't seem to support effects. So this one doesn't support effects. It's only drink and eat. Very simple. There is a beta UI. There's this one, but there is one in somewhere in the Discord. People can use it as well. No, I mean the UI from VORP Metabolism. There's a UI for it somewhere. Character Lua will be released this weekend. I was just working on it. I need to fix the overlays. I think that's the only thing is needed. But regarding this video, I think we covered most things. Creating items, look it up, permissions and database, how to create stores, how to update scripts. It's basically all you're gonna need to do, and how to ensure the scripts. Another tip on when you ensure the scripts. So I see a lot of people do this mistake. When you ensure a script, you need to put it at the bottom. You can't put it at the top, Okay, these scripts are at the top because they do not need this. But most scripts, they need this. So that's why you can't put it before this load. The load here matters. Just like in the FX manifest. If we go here, sorry. If you go like to the FX manifest, if I need this load also matters. If I have this config loading in the bottom and I need a variable from here to be used in here or in this one, it will create an error. It will say it doesn't exist. So these always also matter, the load. And I think that's it. I covered everything. And hopefully people will ask less questions now, as you have a video. I will update it to YouTube. It's an hour of recording.